Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate breakdown for Wednesday, August 30th. We are back. We had a real good slate yesterday. I personally did well yesterday. I did get third place in the Giant Grand Slam on FanDuel, and then also 6th and ninth on the MLB FanDuel Squeeze contest. So it was a good day. We're back again to break down the night slate. It is a 6-game slate. What we will be going over is first going over the perfect lineups and the winning lineups from yesterday, followed by some projected ownership for pitchers and some pivots to consider. And lastly, we'll be doing the same for hitters. Before we get into it, though, make sure if you are interested in joining LineStar, do it now. Do it today. In 4 days, we are going up to $39.99 a month. We are only $29.99 a month right now. You will be locked in at that price for at least 1 year. I do have to say, even at $39.99, we are by far the best deal in DFS and prop betting. Nobody offers you as much as we do on both the props and DFS for such a low price. So get in now before you have to pay a little bit more. It's still very worth it at $39.99 though. Also, if you don't want to, pay those costs, we do have these promo offers. These are not going away. If you're a new customer to any of them, you can get 2 months free from Chalkboard, Underdog, Sleeper, or Thrive. Chalkboard is a new one for us. There is up to a $300 match, meaning if you put in $300, they will match you 100% to $300. It is the best deal that we have going, and along with that, you get 2 months free of LineStar. So it's a great deal. I would take advantage of it while you can. All right, now let's get into the fun. Let's get into the slate. All right, now let's get to the perfect lineup. We have to go back to yesterday because there's some games going already. All right, so 2 pitchers we talked about a lot yesterday, Ragans and Cobb. Cobb went 26 outs, not allowing a hit, and then gave up 1 run and 1 hit in the bottom of the ninth. So unfortunately, he just barely missed the no-hitter. Nonetheless, he's in the perfect lineup. He had a great game. Outside of that, pretty mixed. What is very interesting is there's no Colorado, no Atlanta. We do have a little Houston stack in there. The Dodgers also put up a really good game. Baltimore put up a good game. You could have went a lot of different ways. Now, let's check out the winning lineup. Oh, also to talk here, we were so far away from using all of the salary yesterday for the perfect lineup. I talk about, consistently here is you're not trying to get the perfect lineup. You're just trying to get as close as you can to it. You're not going to be able to nail one-offs for the entire lineup somewhat consistently. So we need to add correlation, and that is your best chance to win. Now, winning lineups for DraftKings, we got J Steed 22. This was his 149th lineup that he entered, so he likely did 150 max, but he followed the chalk yesterday. He went Ragans, went Cobb. Then he had a Dodgers stack and a Houston stack, so a classic little 5-3 got it done for him. Really nice lineup here, and this is just a interesting thing to show now, like a little bit of a teaching moment. We talked about it a little bit in chat last night. You don't have to fade a pitcher just because they're high owned. Yesterday on the show, I said with Cole Ragans, I was like, look, he's going to be super high owned, but where his projection is, how he's been pitching in the matchup, it might be a spot where you just have to follow the chalk. There's other ways to get different. Winner yesterday did exactly that. He played 2 of the chalkier pitchers, but look at his Dodger stack. Everybody's 1% owned in that Dodger stack. except for Betts, who was 4% owned. So they got way different with the stack, slammed the chalk pitching, and it worked out. You don't have to fade one of the pitchers just because they have a bigger ownership number. You can get different elsewhere. This is a thing that I constantly used to fall into that trap of, oh, well, this guy's 40% owned. If I just fade him, I'm different. Yes, that is. But I do have to say that pitching is more projectable than hitters. So with that, it makes a little more sense to eat chalk with pitching and get different at hitters. And, you got to pick your spots. Sometimes you do want to fade the chalk pitchers, but not always. In a situation like yesterday with Reagan's, where he's way underpriced and, everything just looks great with him. Yeah, sometimes you got to follow it. All right, enough of that rant. Congrats to Jay Steed. Good work. Now let's get into the FanDuel lineup. And hopefully there's another little rant that I can throw in there just to spice it up. All right, so we got Cobb as the perfect lineup. Unfortunately, Cobb was the guy that I kind of faded out of the higher-owned pitchers. You got to pick somebody at times, but I definitely had less of him than Reagan's. And Cobb had a great game. Lineup wise, we got 2 Houston players. Ozuna snuck in there. Solid lineup here altogether. Once again, didn't come close to full of the salary, as that's just going to happen. It's a lot of value guys really popped yesterday, and you're not going to pick a lineup full of value. All right, so the winning lineup yesterday, FanDuel Brainlet. If you can see, there's my 6th and 10th. So good old FanDuel Brainlet. He had Cobb taking it. Then Matty Olson, Toronto, 3-man Atlanta stack, 4-man Dodger stack. So just like, on DraftKings, he got different with the pitching. Now, Cobb was much lower owned on FanDuel than he was on DraftKings. 10% owned, and only 10%. You're never fading a guy just because of ownership. They really need to get to 25, 30, 40% to be fading due to ownership solely. But, real nice lineup. This Atlanta stack didn't come through for him, but Cobb with the Dodgers was enough to get it done. And if you look at my lineup, this is the one that was also entered into the Giant Grand Slam. I got real contrarian with this one. I had a 4-man Dodger stack, 2-man Toronto stack, and then Riley and Alvarez. Where I blew it was pitcher. Had I went with Cobb, I easily, walk away with it. But, can't always do that. Can't go back and say, but what, but if, it happened. And that's how it went. Sorry if you hear my little girl crying. Daycare was closed today. So she's not at school today and at home with us. But yeah, nonetheless, solid lineup. I got a little different than Brainlet with the stack. Just wasn't able to do it, but hey, it's another shot and goal. I will gladly take it. Congrats to FanDuel Brainlet. You got it done. You had a great lineup. And let's get some more top 10s here. Now, without further ado, let's get into the stuff we actually care about now. What's past is past. It's a new slate. So no matter how you did yesterday, doesn't matter. All right, so we got Jesus Luzardo as the highest owned pitcher. He is 9,200, 38% owned. Now, look, he's not going to project as well as Garrett Cole, but he's going to be somewhat close, and he's a lot less than Cole. So it makes sense that he's up there, but he is only 1.8x. The big thing that's scary with him is that he has been terrible since he came back from the IL. Just bad. 7.24 FIP, only a 20% K rate, allowing a ton of walks. It's really getting to him. It's been a total different pitcher than what we saw earlier in the season. 3.8 FIP over his last 20 with 28% K rate. Other thing is Tampa Bay has just really crushed him. Very, very, very small sample size, though, so wouldn't take a huge, a ton of stock in that. But it's something to kind of just remember. But his pitcher, StatCast data has looked bad lately. Combined K rate's pretty low for his price. We do have him at 1.8x. It is only a 6-game slate, so he may look okay, but this pitching slate is pretty ugly. A lot of question marks kind of all over it. Next, we got Garrett Cole, 11.5K, 1.9x. It's Garrett Cole. I don't really need to say anything more. It's versus the Tigers. They strike out versus righties a lot, but they do hit righties okay. 183 ISO versus righties, 330 WOBA is not too bad. It is not the Tigers that we like to pick on earlier the season or last season. They have been hitting the ball a little bit better here. But Cole's in a good spot. Makes a lot of sense to go there. Solid combined K rate. His floor is probably pretty high in this, and he definitely has, a ceiling potential in a matchup like this. The one thing is he is pricey, and everybody is going to want to play that Colorado game today, and it is going to be hard to get to a lot of guys from that game when you take a pitcher that's 11.5K. Andrew Jackson, 5.4K, or Andre, sorry. He's super cheap, 1.6x. Look, he has some nice upside in the K department. He's super cheap, going against the Royals, who are striking out 20%. Over his last 5 starts, he has a 3.4 FIP, 26% K rate. There's reason why his ownership is elevated. He looks decent in this spot. Went 79 pitches last time out, 71 the time before that, 78 the time before that. So that is the one thing, is you can't really expect him to go over 80 pitches. And then, we'll see if the Pirates have an open starting for him again like they did last time. They may do that. Kind of does make sense if he's only going to go 80 pitches to have somebody else start for him. So I wouldn't be surprised. He definitely needs to be on your radar, though. And he is a way to get, cheap. Denny Reyes, 4K, so stone cold minimum versus Texas. You never really want to go against that Texas offense. Last game went 4.2 innings, 109 pitches. So if he's going 109 pitches, you can expect him to be fully stretched out for this one. Last game was against Atlanta. He now faces the Rangers. So he's got 2 tough lineups back to back. Rangers are great versus righties. But it's the stone minimum and the guy is, fully stretched out. So, you might be able to get 10, 12 points from him. And just from a points per dollar aspect, it might do it on, a slate where pitching isn't great. We don't have Detroit starter yet. People are saying that it could be Wentz. And, it's fine that if it is. He's cheap, but he doesn't give much K upside. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm pretty indifferent about it. Eflin, I think, is an interesting pivot for lower ownership here. 3.13 FIP over his last 20, 3.6 over his last 5. The interesting thing about his last 5 is that K rate's gone up a little bit. Miami's striking out at 21%. They hit the ball a little hard versus righties, the 1.69 ISO, but Eflin is averaging less points away. This game has a pretty low implied total, with Luzardo being high owned. I'm surprised Eflin isn't a little bit higher owned, as he's in a decent spot here. 23.5% combined K rate too is a little bit interesting, and LineStar likes it 2.2x at 20.9 fantasy points. Darius Vines. Darius getting called up from AAA. He has been solid in AAA. 2.86 ERA. He's striking out like 8 batters per 9. The issue here is that he is going into Colorado and it's warm. The winds are blowing out and you have the elevation. While Darius has been good, it's really hard to expect him to come out here and really pitch a good game. But he is cheap, so, you have to entertain him a little bit. Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning is another guy that's fairly cheap, projecting decently. He's had some real nice upside recently, and we know when he's on, he has, elite upside, as you can see. 8.2 innings, 10 Ks, 37 points, 39 points here with 11 Ks. When he puts it all together, he's pretty dominant. Can he be dominant today? Yes, but the Mets are good versus righties. So, understand that. But I really do like this combined K rate of 27% at 6,700 or 7,600, 1.9x value. I think he's a legitimate option if you're trying to, say, pay up for some stacks, maybe get Braves or whatnot. Ryan Pepiot, I don't totally know how to say his last name, but, he's decent. He has some K upside. The big worry for him is that he only went 76 pitches and 75 his last 2 starts, which were over the last couple weeks. So he likely is held to around 80 again today, capping his upside, and he's at 8.5K versus, a decently good Arizona offense. So I don't love it. Paf has been pitching very good lately. Ever since he got called back up, he's been very good. A FIP of 3, 25% K rate. But this Dodger lineup has just been great lately. Excuse me. So I don't know if you necessarily want to pick on the Dodgers, but Paf does make some sense. The Dodgers likely will get some consideration in stacks today. They've put up, good numbers offensively the last couple games. So, it makes some sense to go to Paf, especially at low ownership, but it's just risky. However, LineStar does like him a little bit, 1.9x. All right, now let's get over to FanDuel since we went over every single pitcher. Pretty much. FanDuel, Cole, 26% owned. Dunning, 21% owned. So big difference between FanDuel and DraftKings on Dunning. Likely because of the quality start aspect on FanDuel. Dunning's just going to project a little bit better than some of those other value pieces because of that. Andre Jackson, there is K upside there. It's just he likely doesn't give you the chance to get a quality start. Luzardo in a decent spot, decently priced, 15%. I get it. The worry there is just been bad lately, but he's a solid pitcher and has been on the year. Vine's super cheap here if you want to get real different and don't mind being risky there. Same with Paft. Pretty interesting pitcher selection here on FanDuel. Well, really on both sites, but don't worry about eating some chalk today with pitching. However, ownership is going to be very heavy on the Braves and Colorado today. 13.5 total. it's a run total of 4 between the next highest. So it's kind of an interesting slate. You're going to need to either get different with pitching or hitting. If you want Atlanta, they're going to be super high owned, so I would say get different at pitching. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Pitching the slate is pretty mixed up. Really hard to tell who's going to have that game. All right. Stack-wise, Braves, incredibly high owned, 157% owned. They are super expensive. It is versus Kyle Freebaum, though, so it makes a lot of sense that everybody wants to go there. We also have the weather to account for. Very warm, winds blowing out. A lot of things going in the Braves' favor today. And it's not likely you're going to really get out of the high ownership. The one thing I will bring up here, as we're scrolling down higher owned, 78% owned for this stack isn't bad. You're getting different while stacking the Braves. So there are ways to still stack the Braves and get different with the lineup. You just need to use some of those pieces that aren't as likely to come through. And that can happen really on any slate. So when you have this good of hitting weather, all it takes is the pitcher to make a little bit of a mistake. These are literally every Braves hitter is very good. All of them will capitalize if there's a mistake, and it can happen to anybody. Next, we got the Pirates coming in versus Zerpa. Zerpa hasn't been great. Pirates are a cheap stack, so it makes sense that they're kind of the second highest one that comes through here. Highest owned, that is, because I bet there will be a lot of Pirate and Brave stacks today. So that is probably the chalky combo when it comes to hitting. They fit together nicely. Next, we got the Royals versus Andre Jackson. Royals are going to be slightly a leverage spot here because Jackson is one of the higher owned pitchers. However, Royals are also higher owned. So interesting yin-yang how that will work throughout the day. All right, so now our highest projected, obviously it's going to be the Braves. They're in a great spot. You got to go real down to get away from the Braves. Now we got the Dodgers versus Brandon Pfaff. Pfaff has been super good lately. The one thing I do have to say is he has allowed a lot of hard contact. There is decent hitting weather in LA too. I would not be surprised if Dodgers hit a couple home runs today and are at least competitive with Atlanta as far as scoring runs. They have been very good lately. Betts is on fire. Freeman has been on fire all year. Muncy has a ton of power. Outman hits righties well. There's a lot of different ways to go with that Dodger stack, and it's a lot cheaper. So it could allow you to get into, some of the better pitching. I most likely will be playing a lot of the Braves today, but it's going to be kind of the lower owned, kind of little weird stacks and configurations. Tampa Bay, Luzardo's been bad. If he is higher owned, Tampa Bay is a real nice leverage stack, and they've been hitting the ball well lately. So it is definitely interesting. Colorado popped up there too. Colorado is versus Vines, who rookie just getting called up from MLB. First start jitters, good hitting weather. A lot of stuff can go wrong for him, and Colorado will look nice here. All right, so Royals, Mets versus Dunning. They're all fine. You're going to have to find a way to get some cheap bats in if you want Atlanta. If you don't want Atlanta, I would be probably steering clear of the cheap, super cheap bats. But value pieces are okay today. Not super interesting. I like the value pitchers better than I like the value bats. Now, ceiling-wise, no surprise. We got Braves. Let's just go to the teams because it's going to be all Braves for the ceiling. All right, so the Braves have a 7.4 implied total. That is why they're so high owned. It is no surprise. But look, the Rockies are 6.2, and it's not that crazy if the Rockies win the game. I mean, they're plus 195 for money line to win the game. So, you know, they have what, a 45% chance to win? Something like that, 42%. It's not that bad. It makes sense to stack the Rockies, and you're going to be getting different, and they're a lot cheaper than Atlanta. Dodgers also makes sense, obviously. We talked about Pitt. They're the second highest owned stack. They're cheap. Zerpa's not good. You can pair them with anybody. Texas is very interesting. Rays isn't great, and Texas is a very, very good offense. So it does make sense to get there. KC also interesting. Jackson's allowing some hard contact. That bullpen's not great. Can definitely take advantage of that. So hitting wise, you know, ownership is going to be much more focused than what we've been used to with these big slates. Just understand there's a lot of different ways to get different. Use, you know, the full lineup. Use guys in the back end. Combined with the you know, one or two front end of the lineup guys. Maybe get different with pitching a little bit. Just figure out how to get different a little bit while still having a lineup that projects really well. Also, like I said on Monday, I will be out Thursday and Friday, and then also Tuesday of next week. So I won't be giving you the full rundown over the next 3 business days as I'm taking a little vacay before football starts. When I do get back, we do have, I'll be going over NFL, I'll be going over MLB. It's going to be a very, very busy next few weeks with football starting. All right, guys, thank you. Appreciate you guys staying tuned and sticking with me. It's a little longer one than normal, and it shouldn't be. It was only a 6-game slate, so I'm sorry about that. My bad. Have a good one, guys. Adios.